Hello. We're live. Uh, Hope people are coming in now. A little bit of an informal ICA show on this Sunday night. Joining me, Thomas, the host of this broadcast on the ones and twos on the backstage, and Artem is our guest today. Artem, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your chess, journey and stuff like that. What's going on with you?
All right. I'm Artem. Uh, I go to uh, I go to Livingston High School. I don't know. I started playing chess like a little while ago, probably in like I don't know, like 2018. I wasn't like super serious about it, but then now more recently, probably like 2022, I started playing like a little bit more seriously, going to tournaments and stuff. And now I'm like, I reached my peak rating now at like 1700,
Yeah,
and recently Livingston won the high school championships. I guess that's why I'm here.
very nice, very nice. Yeah, that's a pretty solid rise to 1700. Pretty strong rating, and yeah, definitely this game I think is a good example of that. Although I'm realizing recently that it went against your favor,
Yeah, I
but
went against my favorite, but
yeah,
strong opponent.
still, yeah, but also I think a solid opening as black.
Yeah.
So Thomas, if you could just pull that game up to the stage, we can get right into the analysis. So Artem with the black pieces, could you tell us a little bit about your opponent with white?
So my opponent with white, as I was told like 10 minutes before the game, played the Alpin. So
Hmm.
I think I've played him before like once. His name is Michael Kang. He's like a 2000, goes to Westfield a bunch.
Hmm.
Um, and I knew that he played the Alpin. So basically, I was just like, okay, I kind of know what to do against the Alpin, and then it's easy to get out of the opening, and then I can have a nice game against him. So that was the plan. That was the game plan going into the game.
Yeah, and just so people at home have like a picture in their mind, this is the what how broad of a region are we talking in high school championships?
This is New Jersey, just New
Okay,
Jersey.
okay, so
Yeah.
pretty serious event.
Yeah.
So okay, we start E4 and C5, and as you said, he's going for this Alapin with C3.
Mm.
So okay, maybe theoretically not the most
Doesn't have a lot
ambitious.
of bite. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think as a practical weapon against the Sicilian, there's not a lot of theory you need to know as white, but black has many opportunities to go wrong. It's
Hmm.
very easy here to get move ordered. For example, if let's say you're a Taimanov player and you go for this E6, D4, you can end up in a like an exchange French in some weird way, or not an exchange French, an advanced French like this, for example, and all of a sudden you're in a completely different opening. Or like if you're a classical Sicilian player, right? You go knight C6, and all of a sudden you're just worse out of the opening. White has the center. I mean, maybe this is playable, but not ideal. But okay, in the game, you know how to play against it. Knight f6. Of course, the downside of playing c3 is you take away this square from the knight, so this pawn's a little bit loose. Just again for people at home, maybe you're not super familiar with the Alapin and you play the Sicilian as black. The other move is d5 using the same principle, right? That you basically have a Scandinavian where on move 3, white plays c3 instead of knight c3, and that's obviously a much better version for black. So knight f6 and e5, pushing forward. We jump to the middle, so still theory. Knight f3, knight c6. How deeply did you study this opening? Out of curiosity.
Um, Not too deep. I just kind of know like the basic ideas, and I've played against it a bunch, so I'm pretty used to it.
Mhm.
But I mean, oftentimes I know that White's basic idea is that he's gonna get the bishop to c4. I'm gonna play knight b6, get a tempo, and then sometimes he goes bishop b5 or bishop b3, and then
Yeah.
from there usually I play d6, and then I figure it
Mhm.
out from there.
Yeah. So that's supposed to be the common game plan. A lot of times this pawn can become a little bit overextended, and there are a lot of positions where white is forced to accept an isolated queen's pawn on d4. So d4 is played, takes, and d6. So exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Bishop c4 and knight b6. So this is one of the main lines. Just I find these variations very interesting. I'll just show one just for the I don't know, entertainment value of it. There's a very interesting line where you can take here, and after e takes, go bishop e6, which is very weird. And the whole point is it looks like knight g5 is, you know, sort of a big problem here. Well, okay, right away there's a capture, but actually, wait, I haven't looked at this in a while. But like knight g5 here, for example, there's always a trick of like knight c3 with weird tactics like you take with the rook threatening mate, and like this is already almost lost or not lost, but you know, you have to kind of, actually it probably is pretty bad, to be honest. Position like this is not ideal, even with accepting the doubled pawns here. But weird tactics in this line. I think this bishop e6 move is very interesting with g6 and bishop g7. But knight b6, I believe, is the main line. I just wanted to show that for fun. Bishop e5, and okay, I mean, it looks sort of like a, you know, tense position. There's threats in the air of like d5 using the pin. But I take it here you were still, you know, in book.
Yeah,
right?
I was still in book, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, yeah. So e6 is like the main move here. I think you can also, maybe you can play d5, but I don't know.
Yeah, more of a French style. I like e6. Yeah, keeping the tension on the e5 pawn. A lot of times,
Probably also take instead of e6.
yeah, you like take, if they take with the knight, a lot of times like just bishop
Yep.
e7, d7 rather, and you're okay to give up the bishop pair.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's always a question of if black is going d5 or not. A lot of times when you close the center, I find, and I also play this as black. I always I had to learn the hard way that this attack for white with the locked center, you know, no tension on the center from black's perspective. White just lines up this attack. They like set up a battery, and you just get absolutely smoked on the king side because you can't bring your knight to f6, and both your knights are on the queen side. Nobody on the king side to help at all. So we have a comment that I saw out of the corner of my eye. Hello, wow, great streamer. They must be talking about the three of us, or maybe Alan back in Italy, out of the country. Let's see. There are okay. Okay. There's always going to be alerts on the ICA .net website, or is it .com? If you look up ICANJ.com or .net, you'll find the streams. It's every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, yeah, always join. It boosts the numbers. That would be, you know, the best way to find us. But okay, we'll continue with the game. Castles says white and bishop e7, just developing. I like it. Takes and queen takes. Yeah, so I think this is, I'm sure there's probably still a lot of theory here. And knight e5, so immediately going for this pin. Now, did you consider a move like bishop d7? And if so, why did you play what you did in the game?
So I did consider bishop d7, but I didn't really see the point of giving away the bishop pair right now. So
Yep.
I wasn't very familiar with the idea that I could just like give away the bishop pair and then take back with like my knight.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it looked fine, but I didn't see why I had to do it. So I just decided that I was going to castle, and then
I like that decision too. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. A lot of times this damage to the structure, you know, okay, it is a damage to the structure, right? You have this isolated pawn on c6, but right,
it's like,
we just saw
it's also kind
white,
of like a battering ram against the d4 pawn if I really want to use it.
yeah. Yeah, there's a famous game of Karpov as black where he goes for this strategy, deliberately taking with the. I wish I knew the other player. It's kind okay. Karpov had all these positional games, but there's one in the database you could find where a lot of times you'll deliberately take with the c pawn just to keep this d5, the d5 square under wraps. making sure this pawn can never push forward and eliminate itself. Because as we know about the IQP, it's a big theme on this show. It's a weakness in the long run, right? Because it can't be defended by any of white's pawns, which means it's going to have to be defended by pieces, pieces being everything that's not a pawn. And if your pieces are all tied down to the defense of a meager pawn in the center of the board, they're going to be more passive in other ways. So yeah, I really like this decision, just focusing on development. And he takes with the bishop, which is a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, it was also surprising to me. I thought he'd take with the knight and keep his bishops on the board, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah, this makes a little bit more sense. But I guess the bishop on the light squared bishop, it can't help out with the defense of the pawn if needed. So
yeah,
maybe
yeah. I mean, maybe you might actually just be losing the pawn.
Yeah,
something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hard to say. Maybe there's enough counterplay here, but yeah, it's not really what you like. Something like this, like here. I'm just curious. Like I could probably even take now.
Yeah.
Like rook d1, knight d5. Yeah, this is annoying. You're hitting this bishop and that bishop.
And then I have knight b4. Yeah.
Yeah. So this looks really nice.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it does make sense now. That you look at it.
Bishop. Yeah. So maybe he knows something that we don't. I don't know. I mean, sometimes this is an idea, right? But it seems a little bit strange, especially. Right? A lot of times the light squared bishop on this diagonal is the most important part of the attack. So by giving it up, you're leaving yourself with a dark squared pawn and a dark squared bishop. It seems like in the long run, that should be, the principles say that should favor black. But again, it seems like, white's a strong player. This seems to be their opening of choice. And they do seem to be playing it well. So knight c3. Using the light squares on e4 and bishop a6. So of course white just gave up their their light squared bishop. Black's light squared bishop is unopposed, and honestly, this looks nice. This diagonal this is pretty good, but I guess white is claiming that while the bishop might look nice, it actually doesn't really have any targets, right? That's sort of the give and take with a bishop. Is the further it can see, well, by definition, the less it's targeting, right? But the more it's targeting, the less distance, the less scope it has. So here it's a wide open bishop, but not really anything of interest there. Not even really any squares that are being taken away in any particular way. So rook d8, yeah.
Yeah, so the idea of bishop a6 was that I would move the other rook to d8, and then also I have like this maybe some ideas with like the knight going to c4 maybe.
Okay, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. It just
as like a tempo, yeah. Like the bishop itself isn't doing much, but
yeah, but it's activating a piece.
I
think bishop a6 is probably the best move. That, or I mean, you could consider a5. Did you look at a5 just to? I mean,
no, I didn't really look at a5, but I kind of looked at rook fd8 just like immediately, or maybe even like knight d5. Both of those moves also seemed pretty appealing. Like knight d5 or
probably expect this.
Yeah, and then I could just go to queen c7.
Yeah, and this looks as good, I think, intending c5.
Yeah, intending with c5. So
yeah, but even here, like, I mean, they might be able to
bishop f4, right? Oh no, not bishop f4. Whoopsie, that loses the bishop. Yeah, queen g4.
We'll pretend that didn't. Yeah. Oh, here I'm also kind of blundering too, but
queen g4 probably king h8, right? Oh, or f5, yeah.
Yeah. So we're both blundering. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the game though, we get bishop a6. But by the way, just the reason I'm saying a5, sometimes you want to get the pawn out in front, and also these pawns can become weak later, right? Because eventually you're going to have to move this bishop. I want to play rook b8 and target the pawn, and if you play b3, I want to have a4. It would be the idea with this knight supporting, or maybe like also sometimes you see like a5, a4 just in the middle of nowhere.
Both a5, you have to be like a little bit careful because then your knight,
the pawn could become
the knight and the pawn could become a little bit loose because then there's
definitely
queen b3 with tempo.
It's
like,
yeah.
I mean, actually that move's kind of bad, but just like potential for those kind of shenanigans.
Yeah, definitely. But Bishop a6, I think, is totally fine. Rook e1, so that knight is definitely on a nice square. One of the advantages of the IQP is you get a half-open e-file, which means the e5 square is always going to be a nice spot to put the knight on. More open lines, right? This bishop on, was blocked this way, for example. Yes, you found the diagonal a6 to f1, but like we were saying, it looks nicer than it might turn out to be in the game, because this diagonal is not really you'd want it more on, like, if you could put it on like g6 or f5, you'd be very happy. Just because a bishop on a6 can tend to be sidelined.
Prospects, yeah.
Yeah. It's just hard to maneuver it. But rook fd8, it's always a question in these types of situations. Okay, here, by the way, I think rook fd8 is tactically flawed, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but queen f3.
Yeah. It just gives away a lot of tactics. Yeah, queen c6 and f7.
Here, I was wondering about like bishop f6. Maybe the tactics work out, but
maybe they do. But I'm not. Like, you're not trying to go into tactics against a stronger player. Most
here, actually, this definitely works.
Oh, well, yeah.
And there's this.
Ooh.
Maybe there's d5 though. Oh, no, d5.
No, d5.
Probably gonna take it.
Yeah.
And there's tempo on the rook.
Yeah.
So maybe, and like here, yeah, and then oh wait.
No, because then I take the rook for free. And you can't.
Yeah, but then takes, and maybe the knight's trapped. Oh, but d6.
Ooh.
Okay, it's sharp.
It's really sharp. Wait.
Okay, wait. Okay, but this knight I think is going to be trapped. No, d7. D7 and knight c5. Aha. Okay, it's not like winning or something, but oh no, it is winning. Is it not? No, it's not.
No, just queen back to c8.
Okay. Yeah, actually that looks good for that looks.
But it looks better for white probably now. Maybe queen c8, get another tempo.
Yeah, queen c8. Whoops. Queen c8, bishop e3, and I mean, okay. It's hard to, okay, we could go farther and farther. But,
farther down the rabbit hole.
But the reason,
after bishop f6, can you play knight e4 instead of taking on c6?
Go back. Bishop e4, I think that's a
knight e4 good
idea. I was thinking about just taking. I don't know. Maybe that's too much. Takes.
Looks
and
like,
yeah, maybe it is too much. Yeah, maybe it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's here. Oh, and bishop. Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, this looks.
That's not going to cut it. Okay, you're right. Knight e4 is a small problem. Yeah. And if I go back, actually, no. I'm sorry.
No, if you go back, knight c6.
Yeah. So actually, knight e4 just. Yeah, you're right. Bishop f6 is
maybe f6 instead of bishop.
Maybe queen f3, f6.
And then
bishop here, right?
Bishop e7, yeah.
And d5, I guess, is transposing, or is it?
d5.
I mean, at the very least, you can take.
Yeah, you can take,
and
then rook c8.
Okay. Yeah. Actually. Yeah. So maybe f6 is working there, but okay, not really the move you want to play. Just to belabor the point, rook fd8, queen f3, f6. I mean, maybe I just go to like knight. Go. Okay, but then d4 is hanging. Okay, so maybe f6 is just good. Okay.
Luke, maybe if f6 is a problem, can you play queen h5 after rook fd8, queen h5, g6, and then queen f3, and then it's just.
Yeah. I mean,
but now
g6, queen f3. Well, I think it's similar, right?
Yeah, then it's just f6 still.
Because, I mean, maybe it looks a little bit weak, but again, because there's no light squared bishop, a lot of times you can even play like king f7 here.
Yeah, it's hard to exploit it.
Yeah, actually, I think the king would be very safe on f7. Or like just g7.
Again, what if knight e4 and then I take on f6?
Knight g4?
Oh, actually, Okay, you're
Oh,
catching me out
94.
here a lot, but here I can probably just go up. I thought. Okay, but actually no, I'm getting styled on. Maybe I go here. No, maybe I take, and let's see.
Maybe rook f8.
Well, rook f8. This is hanging.
Well,
But-
yeah, but then you play king h8 and then you're threatening on f2.
But bishop.
Three.
But bishop e3.
Bishop e3.
Oh wait.
Bishop e3.
Rook-
Bishop e3. The knight isn't loose. No. Yeah, bishop e3.
Yeah, if you go here,
Yeah, then bishop e3.
it's check, right?
Oh, so king g7.
Yeah, so king g7,
And then you still get cooked with bishop e3.
bishop e3. Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, that's a little bit annoying. Okay, so it just goes to show that the Alapin can seem like a dry opening from just when you're going back after the moves, but over the game in hindsight. But there's all these sharp lines just waiting to happen. So very imbalanced position. So okay, you choose rook ad8. Just the only reason that I want to play rook fd8 if I can get away with it is because I feel like after rook here, after rook ad8, the f rook. Okay, I mean, I would say can get stuck, but a lot of times there's this plan of like rook e8, bishop f8. The again, classic plan we always talk about on this show. Rook e8, bishop f8. It's very safe usually, but again, this f7 pawn is worrying me to say the least. So okay, but actually, I think I like this decision after giving it a look. The f7 pawn does seem like it needs some safekeeping. So okay, knight e4. And you go queen c7. So maybe c5 is in the air. Bishop f. Yeah.
Here
And knight
comes.
d4.
This move was really questionable. Knight c. I should have just played knight d5.
Yeah, I like this one too.
Yeah.
Just hitting the bishop.
Yeah.
And bringing the knight back in.
And then bishop g3, and then maybe just like queen
Like
b7,
even
and I'm fine.
Something like
Or
this.
b6, yeah. Either way.
Yeah. Now, okay, not really that you're gonna take this pawn. I mean, maybe you can at some point, but
Yeah.
you're just
But the play
getting
is
rid of
c5, like next move. Oh no, maybe c5 probably next.
what,
instead.
knight c5?
No, not knight c5. Black's plan is.
Oh yeah. Or even I'm thinking like knight f6 just to trade a bunch of pieces.
Mhm.
But yeah. So okay, but you go knight c4.
Knight c4 doesn't work because knight g6, and then I have to. Knight
Yeah.
g6. Just I have to play e5, I think, and then he just takes, and then now I move my queen,
Yeah,
and then I just lost the pawn for no reason. But
Mhm.
he said
So
he
he
said
believes you?
no. Well, what he told me after the game is that he believed me. He saw the move, but then he thought I had something planned for it. So I was like, got a little bit lucky.
Yeah, that could happen. An instance of mutual blindness, as they say. So knight
Yeah.
c4 and queen f3. So yeah, that's kind of an annoying move to see. Just like when you try to set up a threat and then your opponent counters you by making a move that also improves their position. It's like, oh, well, it's tough to see. Yeah. So now there's a big threat against the queen. Well, there still is. We can say. So now you take, and I really like the decision to take with the e pawn.
Yeah.
So
the
a
e-pawn,
transformation of pawn structure. Now, I don't know if we were saying this. I think I mentioned this earlier. A lot of times when you get this pawn on e5 for white, and there's no tension, there's no way for for black to put any pressure against this pawn. A lot of times this attack against the king side just becomes too strong because you can never put a piece on f6. Usually you want a knight on f6. Here, obviously, you have no knights, but white has 3 pieces on the king side. Really, there's only one defender. And longtime listeners of the show will be familiar with this this concept. You got 2 more attackers on the king than black has defenders. It's probably going to be bad news. C5. So a lot of times when you have this split structure, it makes sense to advance them to limit the activity, or I guess not activity, but the mobility of the more stable structure. Also, right, some potential for this bishop. but yeah, white obviously has a very direct plan of starting an attack on the king side. So I really like queen g4 too.
And then here
This is a nice spot for the queen. Also, maybe a rook lift somewhere, clearing the third rank for that. G6.
yeah,
So
that was probably a misstep. I should have just played king h8. I just didn't notice it during the game.
yeah, king h8. Maybe I go for my rook lift, but maybe there's enough counterplay or something. I don't. Maybe like this.
Yeah, rook d4 then.
Just with some pressure against the queen.
And then double up the
Here.
rooks, and then g6 first, and then the play is like to try to double up the rooks and get the bishop to f8.
And now there's never knight f6 because you take and there's a pin.
Yeah, there's a pin.
Yeah. So king h8, I really like that idea. But g6 looks normal.
But then it's check and then takes.
Yeah, check, and I guess, I mean, can you just go over why king h8 isn't working here? Because I don't think it is either.
Well, after king h8, I don't know what I do after queen h3 or h4. It's got to be mate, or it's got to be mate coming. h5 and you just take, and then
here you're getting mated.
I have to be getting like murdered here.
Yeah, and here just
if I'm not losing all my pieces, I'm getting checkmated.
Yeah, this is not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and if you have to play like king, this is just I think lost. So I guess taking is really the right response.
Necessary.
Which is unfortunate. If it has to be the right response, because once you let this pawn on f6, the dark squares are going to be a big problem. So it takes. I like this move rook d4. So same idea we were looking at just a minute ago, creating this pin. Typical defensive idea, but just a very calm move by white, just g3. And
white actually had an interesting idea here that I saw with the computer.
Yeah.
Queen takes g6, just went up on.
What am I missing?
Queen takes g6.
Oh, yeah.
Queen.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Well, takes, but I can take here. Oh, but there's bishop e5.
No, but there's bishop e5, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, the computer will get you. Okay.
Yeah.
It takes. Okay, I would take this because opposite colored bishops, right? Maybe I'm getting some activity.
Yeah.
Wait, do I not just win the pawn back directly this way?
I
guess they can take here.
I don't think so, because he can just play bishop e5, and then he's protecting everything after bishop e5.
Aha. Yeah, you're right. Okay, but some activity.
Yeah, there's some activity, but
King f7. Yeah.
Still hard to play.
Yeah, but g3, I like.
Yeah.
Do you remember the computer valuation? Was that
here? Here it was like maybe like plus 0.3. It was like nothing, because
really
I should just play queen c6 here. That was the this was like the final move and then now he has to play f3. Well, if he doesn't play f3, that's
funny.
Just destroyed there.
Yeah, so so both sides have to weaken their king.
Yeah,
there's the opposite. Okay, that's actually I think a very instructive point. Yeah, it just goes to show how this structure is so weak against the bishop of the opposite color of the pawns. That's actually very funny. Yeah, so in order to protect the bishop, you have to create the same problem that you're trying to set up. Okay.
But here I played a little bit too fast. I played e5 and I thought, oh, I'm just winning the bishop, but white gets checkmate a little bit too quickly.
Queen g5.
Yeah,
that
Queen
is
G5.
Breaking the pin, and we could just show you cannot take because just
queen h6
and classic.
Nobody's
stopping that. So
I mean,
okay, e5. Yeah, look. How much time? Do you remember how much time you spent on this one?
Like a minute.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, I mean here. Okay, I guess you just said queen c6. Whoops.
Yeah, queen c6. That's
probably the only move. Right?
Yeah, that's the only move.
Okay.
Yeah, so queen c6 and then I'm just.
Yeah, but here he goes queen g5.
And then now queen c6 is one move too slow.
Yep, and he beats you to the punch.
Yeah, and then I took on f6.
This is why they always tell when you're starting out in chess, when you're playing black, don't just copy your opponent, because you'll end up in a situation like this where white sets up a threat of checkmate, black sets up a threat of checkmate, white checkmates black, black checkmate. No, they can't. It doesn't work that way. You get checkmated and the game is over, even if
no last flicks.
Yeah. So okay, just one move too slow, But okay, you
Yeah, and
take
then
the pawn.
yeah, I
but
just took
I'm
the
sure
pawn and then I resigned
you
after.
saw what was coming. Just bishop
Yeah.
e5. Not only is it a fork, but it's even worse
It's mate
because
soon.
yeah, it's a skewer. Even
Yeah,
more
it's a
than that.
skewer. It's everything. It's all the tactics.
Yeah. So okay, I think pretty nice game overall. You know, I think a very instructive Alapin game for both sides. White illustrating this typical plan of setting up this kingside attack with the pawn on e5, gaining a lot of space and trying to use that to create an attack, and as black basically using your extra tempi to offset the attack with counterplay on the other side of the board, using those extra tempi as a lead in development. But okay, again, Queen C6 I think would be probably you'd find a draw eventually.
Yeah.
This attack isn't really leading anywhere. If you could create the counter threat along the opposing diagonal. So okay, any final thoughts on the game before we move on?
I mean, it was a fun game.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun. And you win some, you lose some.
yeah. And how'd you do overall in the tournament?
I got 3 out of 5. I beat everyone lower rated, lost to everyone higher rated. So
Oh, okay, 3 out of 5 is pretty decent result.
yeah,
And like you said, I don't know if you mentioned this during the call, but your high school won the state championship, right?
yeah. The A team won.
Yeah,
I was on the B team. We stole some points from the other teams, so it's okay.
That's
Did the job.
Yep. Yeah, so very nice individual performance and as a school as well. So okay. That is the game. We're going to look at everyone who's watching at home. We'll finish up here with a match to the death. Thomas versus Artem on chess.com, as is tradition. So I'm assuming both of you know how to send each other a challenge, right?
Yeah, I can challenge you, Artem.
All right.
So I'll view that game so everybody at home can watch as well, and then we'll get on out of here.
Should we do 5-0?
Sure.
5-0 sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
More of a rapid player. So side. We got
E4. Okay, are we gonna get an elephant? Oh, okay, no elephant. Long thing. Okay, Moscow variation. Now, knight c6. Okay, this is an interesting line. Are we gonna see the ICA classic plan? Rook e1, bishop f1. That's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure that's the main line here, right? Okay, but now.
Oh wait, e5.
A lot of times this bishop on g7. Okay, I don't want to give it. I don't want to say anything before Thomas moves here. But okay, we have a weird drag. Oh, let me turn off the evaluation, by the way. Okay, c3. I like it. I think that's the way to go. How do I do this? Oh no, analysis. Chess engine off. There we go.
Stop calling me.
Okay, I like the position for both sides here. Oh no, how do I evaluate? Oh, there we go. Evaluation. I'm looking for the word bar and it wasn't there, but I guess evaluation is half of that equation. Evaluation bar. But okay, knight c3. Nice space advantage for white, but when you have the center, the downside is you have to maintain it, and a lot of times here it can come under pressure. So where is that knight on g8 going? a6. I like that move. Bishop c4. Knight f6. Okay, interesting tactical possibilities here. I have a feeling Thomas is deep in calculation.
I'm cooked.
Now, I think there's an example of an anti-tactic here, a tactic that works in terms of the initial, just straight, tactical sequence, but then you land yourself in a bad position, if I'm calculating correctly. And I'll say it after Thomas moves, just so I'm not influencing the game here. I think there's many options for white. Queen e2. Okay, the move I was talking about, by the way, was queen b3, where I think black had to move knight a5 in response. Bishop takes f7 and just king f8, and you can't really hang on to the bishop with the queen. Okay, castles. Okay, now it's more normal. This is much more comfortable now. Now I think there's a critical move here for white. e5. That's very direct. Takes. And maybe the most direct is, the most accurate. e6. Okay, but still not the end of the world.
Oh, jeez.
Because this is always the thing with these openings by white, where you get the center, but black has this pressure from a distance using their pieces. Is once white decides to open up the center like this, all of a sudden black's bishops can become very open. So takes everything. Knight g5 looks, wow. Thomas is playing very well here, I think. That looks like a problem.
Looks like quite a problem.
Yeah. 95. Okay.
All right.
Space. So up an exchange for white.
An exchange isn't worth the 11 seconds he's down on the clock.
It is. There's no increment, right?
Yeah, there's no increment.
So we've seen some pretty brutal flags on the show before. Can we put one together here? I think there's definitely that possibility, but very solid moves here by Thomas. Bishop e3. The dark squares are looking very weak. Rook fd1, rook ac1, knight a4. Very nice positional type of play here. c8. Okay, I think this is a game of speed here. It's not. This is no longer typical chess. Oh, it's actually very annoying where to put the queen. Okay, queen a5. I like. Let's see. Oh wow, Very nice. Yeah, not giving him a second to get a breath. Queen b4.
Think I'm just...
This is tough. This is like I think, perfect conversion so far. Queen f4. Wow. Yeah, really, really solid by Thomas here. And that time advantage.
Yeah, it seems to have
Disappeared.
slipped away.
Yeah. Okay, but still 45 seconds. It's tough to find the move that like creates a threat here. And I think that's what needs to happen. Bishop e5, I like it. Unless there's like some tactic.
There's always a tactic.
Yeah. G3. Okay, somehow this is reminding me too much of the last game, given the structure. Queen h6. I feel like there's I just know there's gonna be a tactic that I miss here while I'm watching it. And I'm gonna get caught off guard by Thomas. F4, wow. That's actually, I think, that's a great move. Look at the queen. The queen has seen better days. Takes. Oh, what did I say? Thomas is gonna. Okay. Uh-oh. Very nice. There it is.
No.
That is not just a pawn, folks. That is a rook. Oh, and is he gonna even more accurate? Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, I'm getting cooked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brutal
GG's.
game.
That's crazy.
Wow,
Game.
what a conversion. That is
That.
wow. That's genuinely a great game. I think that okay, I think it started to go wrong after bishop e8. I think you could just take the pawn and play king h8 there. Okay, we could just, I guess, analyze it very quickly, and then we'll wrap it up. But I think that's a great place to finish up on. How do I actually? It would be nice if I knew how to open an analysis board, but there we go. So okay, Sicilian. Seems like you have a repertoire against e4. That's always good. And okay, is this something you've looked at, this knight c6 move?
Not I mean, I haven't played against the Moscow in a while. So
yeah, this is
yeah, the knight c6. I mean, I could play bishop d7 or knight bd7. I know those are both like
each of them come with their own
yeah
difficulties if white's booked up. Yeah, like bishop d7, a lot of times you get this. So you have the option to take both ways. The main move is like this, and you get like c4, Maroczy bind type of thing. And it's a little bit.
Yo, wait, by the way,
annoying.
I don't are you sure that you're sharing the analysis board?
Oh, am I not?
Yeah, I don't
No,
think
yeah, you're not. I think you have to switch
Uh-huh.
tabs.
Yeah. That's the issue. Yeah. Hold on. How do I do that? Can we just? I can just do it this way, right? Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
that's working.
So yeah, bishop d7. You get something like this a lot of the time, where it's like a Maroczy bind. But okay, black obviously has ways to play here. But as far as I'm aware, when you're taking with the queen, this knight a lot of times can be sort of put off sides in this structure, where it's just sort of awkward to position the knight. A lot of times, like you kind of want the knight in that setup here, but then okay, white can still go for the setup. Where the difference is that now this knight often will come to c5 after a capture on d4, but now white can go for a different setup with c3, and a lot of times they get like c3, d4, and can attack this way with like b3 in some weird ways. Or there's even b3 right away. just my experience with this as black, I don't like it. I've tried
Yeah.
all the moves. All of them are very annoying.
All of them
So,
are very not the full. The Moscow is just an annoying variation.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like you have
that's
to learn
why.
a whole other opening as black. So, against I guess that's that's the state of theory in the 21st century. But Tom, is this something that you play a lot? This Bishop E5 move?
Yeah, I think it's the main move that I play, and
Mhm.
like a lot of people who play the Sicilian, especially with D6, they
Yeah.
know like everything about the open Sicilian and even
Yeah.
like Galopin. But
Mhm.
Bishop E5 is like it seems like at first like it's kind of like a timid move, but
Yeah.
it can actually get some really annoying positions for black. So
I
it's like a good surprise weapon.
definitely agree. Yeah, there was someone I was playing many training games against played this, and I'm still traumatized to this day. It's not fun. It feels like you're always in a slightly worse position. But okay, G6. I'm pretty sure this is still legitimate. And take. So here, this is the one thing I know about this opening. When you take, when the knight is still on B1, you often get a worse position because the knight comes to C3.
Yeah, C3 with the
Just-
center intact.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, you're not supposed to take, but also here, I don't know how you don't. Right?
Yeah, maybe like E6. No,
Yeah,
E6.
E6 though, a lot of times this structure is actually really good. Like for example,
Yeah.
here this looks really
Yeah.
really bad. Right? And then I'm gonna go like this and like this.
It's like
And actually maybe that's a like Bishop F8.
yeah,
Like
Bishop
you go
F8.
like here, like
and
Knight
then
A5.
You're just always gonna have pressure.
Yeah. Like just to continue the point, like here, like E5 and like Knight D2, Knight E4, or maybe not even E5 right away, but this type of endgame where there just this structure in general of a black pawn in C5 and a white pawn in C3. This is like I don't know why it is, but and this isn't just me saying this. I've heard other players say this too. Very, very annoying to play against. This bishop never gets any activity, and you never have any pressure against the center. So it's very annoying. And this is just an example of that. So that's why, yeah, you're not supposed to take on D4, but I think you have to here, right? So it's one of those cases where you're forced into something that isn't ideal, but okay, maybe there's still ways to play this where it's fine. Bishop D7, Knight C3, A6 I like, because if you just delay it, if you play like Bishop E3 here, wait, whoops, like let's say, I don't know, like E6, Bishop E3, okay, let's say you just give white the chance, they're gonna go Rook E1 and A6 Bishop F1, and this is like the ideal setup, because basically like A6 Bishop C4, you get hit with this and this sometimes, or this, right? Or this and various tactics on the C file. If you go to D3, you're not protecting this pawn. If you go to E2, you're blocking the rook. But if you go to F1, it looks weird, but
you're not you're not blocking anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the game though, A6 is played right away, which I like. Bishop C4, which here I thought was slightly I like Bishop E2. Just because like Bishop C4, I was almost considering Bishop G4 here. I don't know if you considered this with a lot of pressure against the center.
Yeah, does look a bit suspicious.
Yeah, but here, I mean, you can probably even accept the damage to the structure. Like take. Maybe this is like the way to go. With E5, you always have Knight H5, and you're never getting trapped with G4, which was an issue in the game. But yeah, so you go Bishop C4 and Knight F6, which I thought was a little bit risky because
yeah, maybe E6 was slightly better.
Yeah, and I guess this isn't working, right? Bishop G4 because of tactics. With check.
Yeah, check.
So yeah, so wait, is there even just out of curiosity, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but there's not this, is there? No. It almost works, but not really.
No, yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh no, it does work. It does work. It's check.
Well,
Yeah.
can you go to d7 after bishop takes f7 check?
Oh yeah, you can, and I lose. Whoops. Or do I? Probably I do. I'm trying to set
Yeah.
up a perpetual, but yeah, this just doesn't work. Okay, you're right. You're right. So queen e2. Just going for it right away.
Yeah, I wanted to prepare e5, and I also thought he wanted to play b5, b4.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought queen e2 was like just a good move. Like
Yeah, nice coordination. This for whatever reason I always thought was like a nice, just aesthetically a nice setup. Just what I was talking about during the game. Queen b3 looks like a fork. First of all, you can never really get away with taking this pawn, but here I thought there was even knight a5 with this, and I don't see how you are keeping
How
the
you
bishop.
keep on defending? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but okay, queen e2 I really like. Very solid move, and you go right for the
Yeah.
thrust. The
Yeah.
other move I guess you consider is like h3, just trying to
Yeah.
take away this pressure against the center, right? Preemptively. But I guess there's downsides here where you're giving black sometimes. So very direct play. e5. You decide to take. 98. I was looking at too.
Mhm.
Yeah, 98 makes a lot
Yeah,
of sense.
I think that might have been better. But
There
there's
are
still
a lot of yeah.
Still maybe
But-
six.
And e6. I mean, again, this is always the dilemma for white, right? Is you can open up the center like this, but the more you do, the more active black is becoming. So like takes, I'll just slide out of the way, right? And now
Like,
there's a
knight g5 here, then then you just take on d4.
knight g5.
Can't just take on d4.
Can you take on d4?
Knight f7.
Well, then you can just take.
Yeah,
Oh, I can just
queen's
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the queen's. Oh, yeah.
and the queen is hit. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that would have been better. So I probably wouldn't have gone for e6 then.
Yeah. Well, this is another thing in this line. A lot of times, by the way, like all variations in this line, as far as I'm aware, where after bishop e5 check, knight e6, knight e7, or bishop d7, most of these lines where you're playing g6 and bishop g7 as a setup as black, when there's e5, taking you always get in a difficult position. As far as I'm I'm sure there are positions where it's not the case, but knight e8 is thematic. Oh no, I've been disconnected. What is that? I don't think so. Have I? No. Okay, we're good. But okay, takes knight g4. So again, I think knight e8 is probably something to look at, but knight g4 I guess was okay in the game too. Here, I wanted to just take and go king h8. Although maybe
Yeah, knight g5.
Then knight g5.
yeah,
It's
actually,
still
you're
really-
right.
Knight g5 maybe. Oh, I could take, or maybe I could play knight h6, I guess, or knight e5,
If you
or knight back to e5.
Yeah,
Either or.
maybe
that
Maybe-
actually looks like it works.
Maybe I could show.
Yeah, and same concept, right? Where yes, white is making all these aggressive looking moves, but at the end of the day, bishop's open f file, right? Half open f file. This there's definitely dynamic chances. Although maybe this is.
I think I might be getting cooked here, though.
Yeah, that would actually might be. Wait.
just
Just rook b1.
it does look
95.
really good.
Maybe I just go queen c8.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe like knight g or queen e8 probably is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a very sharp position, but in the game we get bishop e8,
Yeah.
which
That's just a blunder.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah, 'cause
blunder.
takes everything,
And then
and
there's
knight
queen-
g5.
Yeah, knight g5.
Yeah, and I guess the problem with bishop e8 is you can't even sidestep, right? because
Yeah.
this is hanging. So yeah, you give up the exchange, and honestly, I don't think you made every best move here, Thomas. This was a beautiful conversion. Bishop e3, taking the dark squares. Okay, rook c8, rook c1, rook b5, gaining it. And again, where do you move the queen?
Yeah.
Right? It's like here,
Like-
you're jumping into knight d5. And rook b5, bishop c5, tempo every move. Very nice move here too, just getting the last piece
I
of the
think
game.
bishop b5 was definitely not the move. That was just starting to run out of time.
Which move? Oh, bishop e5.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I liked it. You got to try, right? It's blitz.
Yeah.
You're down in exchange. I think this is definitely the way to go. Unless you want to go like h5, which I looked at for about a second, but this of course just looks awful. Right? What are we doing with this pawn?
Yeah.
Maybe rook d7.
Rook d7, yeah. So bishop e5 I thought was very nice. Queen h6 and f4. Very, very nice move. The queen is completely stuck out of the game now. Bishop d6, and here we were saying the whole time there was going to be a tactic.
Yeah, there
They
was.
say tactics flow from a superior position, and Thomas definitely has a superior position here, and he finds the tactic. Rook takes d6, removing the defender. You could also do it in the other move order, but I guess this is even well, I guess it's not more direct, but it's the same thing. So yeah, check. You pick up the rook, and just brutally accurate here. Check. I want the rook with check, right?
Yeah.
To go back. That I thought was a very nice final flourish on the game. But okay, and okay, this leads.
I let it end quickly.
Yeah. The graceful way to finish. But okay, very nice. I think very instructive games in Alapin-esque variations of the Sicilian. So Artem, Thomas, thank you for attending. Any final thoughts? Any comments on the game? Anything you want to leave the audience with?
Not really. I think
Wow.
just enjoy the chess.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they did. So okay, we went about an hour. Actually, pretty solid show. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us, audience, and we'll see you same place, same time next week. So I hope everybody has a nice night. Goodbye, Artem. Goodbye, Thomas. And yeah, like I said, we'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.